Hi, my name is Steve Hayes. I'm the founder and president of All Safe Industries. We're a full-line safety equipment distributor, but we specialize in the more technical safety equipment like gas detection, and that's what I'm here to talk to you about today, is the GX 2009. It's a very small 4-gas meter that will measure oxygen, flammables, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen sulfide. I'm going to show you how to do the daily startup of the instrument, including a fresh air calibration and doing a bump check with your cal gas. And then I'm going to show you how easy this meter is to use. I'm also going to talk about calibration of the instrument. The factory recommends that you calibrate the meter at least once every 90 days. So I'm going to show you how to do that with the accessories that are in your kit. We'll also talk about the maintenance of the instrument. Eventually you will have to change out the sensors in the meter. They don't last forever. I'm going to show you how to change those sensors. That's very simple as well. And then I'll show you just a few other accessories for the GX 2009 that you might want to add to your instrument fleet. All right, this is our multi-unit GX 2009 kit. This is the kit that will hold up to 5 instruments, and everything you could possibly need to operate the meters the way they're set up is right here. So let's just start with the paperwork. First of all, you have your GX 2009 manual. Again, this is a piece of life safety equipment, and if you use this every day to protect your life, I would recommend reading this one time. Take it with you on your lunch break, read through the manual. It's very important you understand how to operate your own safety equipment, so I'd suggest reading that. Once you've read the book once, then you can just refer to the quick reference guide for the GX 2009. Very straightforward, turning on the GX 2009, measuring mode, fresh air adjustment, performing a breath test, sensor failure, display mode, resetting alarms, turning off the GX 2009. So it's just a quick reference card to remind you some of the things that you'll do on a regular basis. Of course, if you really like getting into the information, there's the product CD. And what's nice about this CD is it has all the helpful pieces of information that you would want. There's the data logging program is on this disc. The instrument manual's on here. There's a video training series that can supplement the videos that you're watching right now. And then there's the quick reference card, a spare parts list, and your data sheet. So all the information you would need to own and operate your GX 2009 is located on this CD. And then we also include a quick reference card of our own in our kits. And so here's what one of our All Safe Industries quick reference cards looks like. And then let's take a look at your kit. Obviously you have the 5 instruments here, and we've banked those together so that when you plug the kit in, and it's off camera, but on the front of the kit you'll see the charging port, and once you plug the case in, you're supplying power to all 5 instruments that are in your kit. So just make sure when you take these meters out and you go to use them, that when you come back you snap that in the charger correctly so that it can always be on charge and you always have a full battery to operate your meter. Here is the wall charger that would plug into the charging port on the front of the kit, which is off camera right now. So this is sufficient to charge all 5 of your meters. So you just plug the box in and everything else happens automatically. And then of course here is your regulator and your cal cup that we saw in the earlier videos. And then you should have a little tool in here for changing out your sensors, but it's just standard flathead Phillips head. You could use any screwdriver that you want. So the purpose of the kit is to keep everything together, nice, neat, and organized for your GX 2009. So let's go ahead and have an overview of the GX 2009. First, you'll notice just how small and lightweight that this meter is. It's really easy to wear and practically forget about it while you're wearing it on your uniform or on your work clothes. Remember, we talked about making sure to wear the instrument in your breathing zone, because that's the most important area where we want to make sure we're taking our samples. So clip it to your shirt or clip it to a radio strap someplace near your head. Not only will it be monitoring the atmosphere right around your breathing zone, but it'll be easier to hear because it'll be closer to your ears. So this instrument does monitor 4 different gases with 4 separate sensors. It monitors oxygen, LEL, which is your flammable gas sensor, carbon monoxide, and hydrogen sulfide. So these are the 4 gases that we monitor for in industry most frequently. All 4 readings will be on this backlit LCD display. It has a simple 2-button operation, an air button, and a power mode button. And so I'm going to run through those buttons and show you how to use them. Just bear in mind that the air button is somewhat like a scroll button. It will scroll through the different selections that you have available. And then the power mode button is like your select button. That's the button that you'll press when you want to select what you see on the screen. It has a 3-way alarm, audible, visual, and vibration. So this unit will vibrate when it goes into alarm. You'll also have audible alarms, and the audible comes out of 2 different sound ports just to make sure that you can hear it from any angle. And then you have 3 bright red flashing LEDs on all 3 sides, so again that you can see it from any angle. It's got large capacity data logging, so we can store up to 300 hours of information on this instrument, and then you would download that information through the infrared port. You need a separate infrared reader to pick up that information. And it also runs on nickel metal hydride rechargeable batteries. So you get about 20 hours of operation on this unit, and then when it's time to recharge the batteries, you just go to the charging station that's in your kit, snap it in, and then you'll see the red light come on, and that means the unit is charging. The power button is what turns the meter on. Push it until it beeps. You'll see all the LED light up. It's going to tell you the next date of calibration, due date, in 17 days is what it's telling us. Gives you the time and date. Tells you what the alarms are set to. There's your full scale, your warning, your alarm, your stells, your time weighted. And now the meter's ready to run. It's just that fast. In fact, so fast you might need to watch that a few times. Or let me show you another way to check what those alarm limits are. So again, there's only 2 buttons. If I start to press this button, it's going to cycle through the different pages of information. And so the first page are your peak displays. That's the highest reading since you've had the meters turned on. The next page is your STEL. It stands for short-term exposure limit. It's like your 15-minute alarm. If you see more gas than you should in 15 minutes, you'll get the short-term exposure limit alarm. The next one is time-weighted average. This is like your 8-hour alarm, and both the STEL and the time-weighted alarms only register for the toxic sensors. One more press of the button and you're going to see the full-scale reading on all the sensors. So this is as high as the sensors will go, and on this page we can actually scroll through the different alarms using the air button. So this is the low alarm or the warning alarm, and you'll see what those values are set to for all 4 channels. This is the alarm, if you will, the second stage alarm. So if gas concentrations continue to rise, you'll see the second alarm go off and it will beep and flash at you faster to create that urgency that you need to take action. And then one more press shows what the STEL alarm will go off at and what the time-weighted alarms will go off at. Again, only for the toxic gases on the STEL and the TWA alarms. And then one more press brings us back to the full-scale screen. So now we've seen all the alarm information. And one more press of the power mode button, and we're back to the regular gas reading screen. And you can see how all 4 gases are displayed simultaneously. So that's what the power mode button does for us if we just press it one press at a time. If we press the air button, this is how we activate a fresh air cow. So you'll see it says hold air, and then it tells me to release the button. And that's how it's going to jump in and do a fresh air calibration. And then it shows us that all the sensors have been reset to 0, except for oxygen, which is reset to 20.9%. And it's like hitting a big reset button. Just make sure you're in fresh air when you do a fresh air calibration. So really the last thing we can do in regular run mode is to turn off the meter. So you just push and hold the button, it will beep 3 times, and now the meter is off. And that's as easy as it is to operate the GX 2009. Now I'm going to show you how to do a quick bump check on the meter. The manufacturer recommends that you do a function test or a bump check before each day's use. And you have everything you need to do that in your kit. You have your cylinder calibration gas. And the first thing you want to check on the calibration gas is to make sure that it hasn't expired. If your gas has expired, you want to get another cylinder on order right away. The other thing you're going to need is the regulator and the calibration cup. The regulator is what flows gas out of the cylinder, and the calibration cup is what we use to make sure we feed that gas right to the sensors. So simply screw the cylinder onto the regulator, snap the instrument, I should say, onto the calibration cup, matching up the names of the sensors on the cal cup with the names of the sensors on the instrument. And then you would simply turn the cylinder of gas on using the on-off knob when the meter is in calibration mode and you're ready to apply the gas. Alright, so once the meter's turned on and warmed up, there's two steps that you're going to want to follow before you start using the meter. The first is going to be a fresh air calibration. So the fresh air calibration couldn't be easier. The most important thing there is just to make sure that you are in fresh air. If you have a background of a flammable gas or a toxic gas, obviously you could throw the readings off on your meter. So you want to make sure that you're in fresh air. And then it couldn't be easier. It's called the air button. So you just press and hold the air button. It actually says hold air on the display, and then it will say release. Once it says release, you let go. It's going to reset all the sensors to 0, except for the oxygen sensor, which reads 20.9%. Doing a fresh air calibration is like hitting a big reset button. All the sensors reset because the instrument is trusting that you're in fresh air when you do that. So the next thing we need to do is now we need to see if the sensors are going to respond to gas in real runtime. And so the way we do that is by doing a bump check or a function test. If you read the book, the manufacturer says that you should bump check or function test your meter before each day's use. And so the way we do that is with the cylinder of calibration gas that came with your kit. You'll see that the gases are the right concentrations according to the manufacturer, and you also want to check the expiration date of your cylinder. If you have expired calibration gas, you want to replace that as soon as you can. OSHA would count that as a hit on your air monitoring program if you're using expired cal gas. So we've got the cylinder of calibration gas. You're also going to need the regulator and the calibration cup so that we can apply the gas right to the sensors. So we're going to engage the regulator onto the cylinder. You'll want to check the gauge, see that the gauge goes up and shows pressure in the cylinder. That tells me that we do have gas in there. We've already checked our expiration date. And then when you install the instrument into the calibration cup, there are the names of the gases right on the side of the cup. If you can see those names of the gases, so we want to line our meter up to match that. It's just the way the factory recommends it. So now we're ready to do our bump test, and it's really just as easy as turning on the gas. So I'm going to turn the gas on here, and then you'll hear the instrument go into alarm. It only takes a few seconds to do this test. If it takes any longer than 30 seconds, you should stop and calibrate. Once the gas concentrations come back down, you'll be able to hit the reset button. And that will silence the alarms. You won't be able to silence the alarms if there's a gas alarm. So if it's registering gas is present, it's going to stay in alarm. So what we can do to check our values after all that beeping and vibrating and flashing is go over to our peak displays. And so if you can see these peak displays, that will kind of show you that the sensors did respond to the gas. So you can see how my LEL is almost 50 like it should be. My oxygen is right around 12 like it should be. My H2S is 24, which is close enough to 25 to count. And my CO got up to 46. So all of those are within 10% of the values that they should have been, and so we'll call that a successful bump. The most important thing you're doing here is that you know the instrument will respond to gas because you just proved it to yourself by doing that bump check. So very important you do that bump check before each day's use. So in order to get into the menus of the instrument, before pressing the power mode button, you want to push and hold the air button. So while I'm pressing the air button, now I'm going to press the power button. And when I let go, you'll see that I'm in the menus now. And so this is the date menu. And remember, earlier I was saying that the air button is like my scroll button, and my power mode button is like my select button. So if I wanted to change the date, I would press the select button or the power mode button. And now you can see the characters of the date flashing at me. And if I want to adjust those numbers, I would press the air button. If I don't want to adjust them and I want to go to the next thing, I will press the select button. And that will tab me through the different pieces of information that I can change on this screen. I'm pretty happy with the time and date the way it is, so I'm just going to tab through all of those, and then I'm back to the date menu. If I don't want to change the date, I'll press the air button, and that brings me to the air cal screen, which is the fresh air calibration like we did before. So again, if I use my air button to scroll to the next menu item, and then I want to select that, I press the power mode button. And you'll see it's prompting me to push the air button, so I'll do that again. I'll push the air button. It says hold air, and then it says release. So I'm going to let go. It's doing the fresh air cal right now. It's done. And then it brings me back to the air cal menu. Now if I want to calibrate the instrument, that's on the next menu. I press the air button to scroll to the next main menu, which is auto cal. And this is the menu I'll come to if I want to calibrate the instrument. And of course, if I press the power mode, I'll go into the auto cal sequence, and then I'd be able to calibrate, and I'll do that in the next video. If I don't want to do an auto cal, I can press my scroll button to go to the next menu, and the next menu is the one cal. Now the one cal is used if all I want to do is calibrate one of the sensors. However, all of my gases are in this cylinder. And so I might as well just go ahead and do an auto cal and calibrate all 4 of them, no matter which sensors I'm calibrating. It doesn't really make sense to just calibrate one since all of the gases are in the cylinder anyway. So I would rarely use one cal. I would use the previous menu, which is auto cal. So if I use my air button to go to the next menu, this is the refresh battery screen. All it says is refresh, but it references the battery. And if I wanted to drain the battery down all the way and then charge it back up, I would do that through the refresh screen. So you'll see if I select that menu, it's asking me if I want to do it, I'll hit yes mode. And if I don't want to do it, I'll hit no air. Well, I don't want to do that right now, so I'm going to say no. And then that takes me back to the refresh battery menu. Pushing the air button takes me to the next main menu, which is the start menu. If I've done what I want to do inside the menus of the GX2009, I would come to this menu and I would press start, and then I would go into regular run mode. But I'm going to come back to that because I'm not ready to end that. I want to show you what else you can do. Press air one more time and I'm back to date. So now I've shown you all the menus in there. So there's the date screen where we can change time and date. Press the air to get to air cal, that's the fresh air calibration. Press air again to go to the auto cal. This is where I would be able to calibrate the instrument. If you press the air button again, you'll go to one cal. Again, this would be a rarely used menu because it makes sense to just calibrate all 4 sensors at once since all 4 gases are in our cylinder of calibration gas. Pressing air again takes me to the refresh menu, which will totally discharge my rechargeable batteries so I can charge them up again. And pressing the air button one more time takes me to the start menu. That's the last menu in the sequence. So when I've done my maintenance, I can go ahead and use the power mode button to select, and then you'll see the standard startup sequence on the GX2009 just like we saw a minute ago, and then we'll be in regular run mode and be able to use our meter. So go ahead and take a minute to pause the video and go ahead and run through those menu selections yourself.